Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Black Cloak issue number 2. I'll flip it around because it's a virgin cover. It is written by Thompson, art and colors by Meredith McClaren, letters by Becca, Carey. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, share, all that good stuff. All of it's free, doesn't cost you anything. And that's why I'm on YouTube for, is the interaction. Let's talk about this comic right here. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's get into the review. So this issue picks up directly where the second issue left off, with our main character, Faye, presumably looking dead, but we find out she wakes up in the police department in the morgue, and she's not dead, of course. But we do find out that she is like a Draconis, and a Draconis is supposed to be hard to kill. Her girlfriend, which we met in the first issue, Nida, walks in, and they start having this conversation. She works at the police department with Faye. And basically she's asking her questions. We do see that Faye's growing these like kind of wings or stubs that look like wings. But she is kind of finding out that that she is possibly like a Draconis or something like that. She was stabbed by a dagger of Draconis, and the only things that can survive being stabbed by a dagger of Draconis is Draconis themselves. She mentions to keep it secret, especially the wing part. You can see them right there, if it'll focus. But eventually she kind of gets back on the case. She walks over to Frey, which is the whole point of the story. She's trying to figure out who killed her, like, kind of past lover or childhood friend, something like that. But it's another elf that she used to be connected with. We see here he's in the morgue. She walks over to Frey and notices that he's got some scratches that turn out to be self-inflicted. And just more clues to add to the whole set. She has this whole flashback where they go back, and she's remembering, fond moments of her and Frey, being romantically inclined, that kind of thing. There's this weird moment during all this flashback scene where she is kind of injured by something. I think it's here, and she's like, ah, and something hits her back. It's never explained what it is, but it is brought up that because she is a Draconis, she's very hard to injure, so it had to be something substantial. The book jumps back over, and now Faye is all dressed. She's kind of going over, all the clues and evidence that they do have presently. Which at this moment is not a lot. Faye finds out that she thought during the time that she had been injured and kind of was asleep that they had finished all the crazy interviews and stuff that they had to do of people claiming to have killed the prince or whatever, and she finds out that they're not done. So you get a bunch of collages of like different people saying, like, this guy says he's that guy but gets his name wrong, this guy says he killed him but can't remember how or why. It isn't until you get to this guy right here, and his name being Romo, and he's also with, like I'd say, a little girl right here, Oma. But Roma and Oma, and they basically tell the story about how they were there. They saw Frey being murdered, but all they really saw was a figure, and they show him right here because they're kind of like telling the whole story about how it went down in flashback form. But he's basically a cloaked figure, and the predominant characteristic about it is he had no feet. He was either flying but he went to go drop off something. There was a big flash of light, and then instantly Frey and this cloaked figure were way farther away from where they were. But different clues, they're looking for some like magical entity, because there's no wings that were being shown, just a cloaked figure. So they kind of figure it's, magic is being used or whatever. We see Faye, and she's going back to her apartment. She goes back to collect something, and I kind of love how they do this, how they throw in little, like, hey, this is the home of Fiandra Essex, which is her full name. But she goes in to collect this. It is brought up again, but it's like she takes this spice stuff adds it to this, and she kind of mentions Frey's name when she does it. But all of a sudden, she kind of puts it away, and you can see right here, it is like after she mixed the spice or whatever on it, it's like, it looks like a lit up key, and I'll show you a better picture coming up soon. But she finds out that she's not alone, that someone is magically like invisible in her apartment. It's actually 3 people, as you can see here. They are amazed that Faye can even see her or hear them. But she can see them and hear them, and we find out that it is Ella of Varys, Gala third of Varys, and then Aldrich second of Solus. They're supposed to be the 3 most powerful humans in this magical kingdom, and basically with the prince out of the way, now the queen is the only, kind of elf that's still, in charge. If the elf queen disappears, then the humans will, it'll be the first time in this story's history that the humans will be in control. As they're explaining this to Faye, and Faye's like, well, what do y'all want from me? And she's like, the queen's still alive, even though the prince is, but she's gonna outlive all y'all. And this guy kind of like slyly says, well, we don't want anything from you, we just came to give you some juicy clues to the next part of your mystery, kind of thing. The next thing they show is the scene right here, and it's Faye traveling up this like conveyor belt thing. There is a message, like a warning that says non-flyers, be extremely caution. And the next scene that we get is Faye heading to the trees, and they show like this little lettering right here that tells us it's the trees, and that's why it's probably best to be a flyer in this area, kind of thing. That's where we leave off. She does showcase the key again. It looks like a key. It might not be a key, but it's like right there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Right there. And that's where this issue leaves off. Her heading into the trees with the key. And I'm assuming she's heading to, Frey's maybe apartment or something like that. We do get 2 like cover previews to the next issue. This one being more realistic, and this one being in the same art set as the book is set in. But both of them dope looking covers, but a fantastic issue. I will say this was a filler style issue. It was more of a background of the world and stuff like that. Wasn't a whole lot that went on, but still fantastic. Actually, I love this issue a lot more than the first one, just because we got a lot more of the world and what's going on, kind of thing. I really will say that I really dug the art, even though it's the same art from 1 to 2. It seemed like the art was like slowed down or more focused on this one, like the faces and the detail in the background, stuff like that. It was fantastic. But that is my review on Black Cloak issue number 2. Let me know down below if you read it. Did you pass it up? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking about it? What you think about the review? Let me know what you want to let me know. And that's all I got for you. I will have more reviews on the way. But that's all I got for you. Alright, guys.